So I started playing piano when I was 2 years old. Um, all three of my siblings and I just did that. Like I guess my parents wanted that to be part of our family. But I started on classical piano originally. I played classical piano for about 10 years um, as a kid, like Beethoven, Bach, Mozart, all the classics. And I always was good at it. I was always very skilled at playing it, but at that particular moment, I wasn't as emotionally invested in it. I think it's hard as a kid to really understand the weight of classical music, and it's a very serious art form. And if you haven't experienced life a little bit and gotten older, more mature, it's kind of hard to relate to it. Besides just playing it and just from a physical standpoint, playing it. So while I was doing that, I also really loved improvising, and I always had a knack for like music theory and the more intellectual sides of the music. That I would experiment with different chords and different things, and I started to write my own music. So eventually, I started to like experiment with jazz, and I played in my middle school jazz band in my school that I went to, Germantown Friends School in Philadelphia. And that was one of the first times I was exposed to jazz for me to play it. And I didn't really know what I was doing. I would just sort of run up and down the piano playing the blues scale, which is like a scale I could really easily just rip on. But when I was 13, I listened to Oscar Peterson, who's one of my favorite jazz piano players, and he like kind of opened my eyes up to like the possibilities of the music, and I was so drawn to the feeling of swing and the feeling of the bounce that he got out of his trio. So I started playing. I switched to jazz at that time. I was about 13. It was a big decision for me, but I switched and I started studying at this program called the Philadelphia Clef Club, which is, I'm not familiar with it, but it's an extremely well-known, reputable jazz program in Philly that has produced musicians for decades. Like if you look at the jazz musicians that have come out of Philly the last 50 years, a lot of them have studied there. And it is under the direction of the great Lovett Hines, who runs the program and became a sort of uncle, grandfather figure to me and many of my peers. So that's how I got into it, and then I just continued. I guess that's a different question, but yeah, that's how I got into it. Was through various ways, but the Clef Club is really where I started to learn how to play. So I currently live in New York, and I've been here since 2017. I moved here for college, and then I continued to just perform here and make a lot of connections. But despite all that, I always feel extremely connected to my roots in Philly. And if you ask any of my friends, they'll tell you how much I talk about it and brag about it and am proud of it. And I still perform there pretty often. I play at Chris's Jazz Cafe and South Jazz Parlor. I know the people that run the music there very closely, and they're good friends of mine. And it's important to me to go back home and reinvest in the community that helped me to get to where I am. So I like to go back and teach when I can and just be involved in the scene there as much as I can. Obviously, it's hard because I don't live there, but it's a very special place to me, and I feel like it's a very strong part of my musical identity. Many of the piano players that I am influenced by are from Philly. Either they're alive or they're past. But yeah, it's a very, very big part of my identity and my musical identity. So going back to the Clef Club, I met Mr. Leo Gadsden, who's the producer of this whole thing, through the Clef Club, and he's always been a mentor and just a great guy for me to kind of be around and learn from, and he's given me some cool opportunities over the years. So when he asked me to bring my group this year, I was extremely excited because I've never done that at this festival. I've always done with other people's bands. So I have a couple bands that I run. I have a trio. I have a quintet. I have a big band. I have a couple other projects. For this festival, I'm going to be bringing my quintet, which is a group that I've had for about 5 years, 4 or 5 years, and the purpose of this group is it's a space for me to write original compositions. So it's my all the music we're going to be playing this year is my own music, and it's music that some of it I've wrote last week, some of it I wrote when I was 17. So to me, it's just like it's a whole narrative, and it's very important for me to play music from all of my life, and all of it has relevance to today. There's things that I'm learning about myself today that I'm putting into songs I wrote when I was in high school, and it's very very interesting process to sort of be in touch with yourself in that way. And I'm going to be joined by some of my best friends, Sam Harris on bass, Christian McGee on drums, Dylan Band on saxophone, and Noah Halpern on trumpet. And these are some of my best friends that I've been playing with for a very long time, and I wouldn't be able to perform this music without their expertise and their creativity. So I'm really just excited to be out there amongst everybody, the hot summer, hopefully not too hot, and I'm hoping to play my music, and I hope that it touches people and challenges people to think outside the box and to maybe feel some things that they did not feel prior. So yes, very excited.